YouTube, what's going on? We're back with some more Outriders World Slayer here for you, running a solo Apocalypse tier 24. Father Sanctum, taking out the final Arbiter. This is it. This is my, this will be my final, and it's my absolute best Pyromancer build, again at Apoc tier 24. This thing absolutely fried the Arbiter. Didn't even get a chance to go into his axe, his axe throwing phase. We just absolutely just disintegrated him. So you guys, like what you see, you know what to do. Please give the video a thumbs up, turn on those video notifications, sub to the channel. Don't forget to check me on Twitch, do live streaming there as well. Enjoy.
This place, it must have been drawing them all here. Answering some call to join Father's army. How many of Enoch's creatures are being lured by this place? Called by Father? Shit. What if this is where all the big guys were? Yeah, whatever. Time to die. Even if you had to wait here 1,000 years.
Alright, this is my current Pyromancer Lava Lich build setup. Starting with the weapons, you want Armor Pierce, Status Power, Skill Life Leech as the God Roll attributes. We're currently working our way towards that. The Armor Pierce is critical because it coincides with no resistance against the Fortified, which increases Resistance Piercing, which has a Pax node. Increases eruption damage by 50% of your resistance piercing. So this is absolutely huge to synergize and take advantage of that. The only mandatory mod that you really need on the weapon is Mage's Rage. Critical shots grant 10% anomaly power bonus for 15 seconds, stacks up to 4 times. It's a 40% anomaly power buff, that's just huge. Any other tier 3 mod will do. I highly recommend Firestorm. It just seems to be super powerful with the Pyromancer. I truthfully love it. And it's just a huge scale amount of damage, inflicts burn, and obviously we've got, things with Overheat and Ash Blast that, just scale the amount of burn damage we can. Plus, slap a little bullet killing in there, and it becomes even that much more powerful. Running it with Bone Shrapnel. This weapon here, this is the main weapon that I'm using, where critical shots detonate and explodes in shrapnel, so it's an AoE effect. It does inflict bleed, so if I'm able to roll something with bleed on there, I can take advantage of that while I'm rolling with it. Again, Mage's Rage on any of the guns. Dark Sacrifice is good. I got a couple that I'm working on. We got Fortress is not too bad too. I think Death Renome is a lot of a good mod that other people seem to be liking. There, you can do whatever you want. I just recommend Mage's Rage on there and Firestorm on the two that I feel work very well. So this is the Pyromancer Lava Lich, and you want to run the 3-piece set. Head, chest, and pants are the ones that you're after. I swapped my helmet out because I feel like I could take advantage of better mods. Then I put on the gloves. As you can see, the gloves don't roll with anomaly power, so you kind of lose that for max health. That's why you want the head, chest, and pants. As you can see, the head rolls with anomaly power, status power, skill, life leech. And then you'd want to take advantage of your gloves and boots with purples or with legendaries, but you would want the anomaly power, status power, cooldown reduction as the god roll on your gloves and your boots. So anomaly power, status power, cooldown reduction, and that's coupled with anomaly, status, and skill life leech that roll natively with the 3-piece lava leech set. so that's it in a nutshell. Again, you just really want to get your global cooldown to 55%, you know, and keep your skill life leeches up. It's nice just to be able to spam the skills. The detonator helps quite a bit with that, and we'll go over that right now. Anomaly Echo, great mod. You know, I would have to say that's 100% mandatory. That and Arms of Anomaly. You know, it grants, you know, a scalable amount of firepower and anomaly power for each skill activation. So that's great. We're constantly activating skills over and over and over again. So fantastic mod to have on. You want all of the eruption mods that you can possibly put on, except for the one that converts it to ash, because you already have one, the magma coat, that, you know, applies burn. Increased duration is great. Death sentence and you know, your weapon damage and anomaly damage against enemies inflicted by the skill are increased by 40 and 30% for 5 seconds. That's huge. Again, increased duration on the eruption is just massive considering the sheer amount of damage our eruption is laying out. Master Consumer, mandatory. Overheat. The skill consumes either burn or ash, which we're applying all the time to deal damage. Consuming both at once increases the damage to 150%, which is, it's just crazy. Sometimes you can get that applied. The damage is absolutely insane. Talking like a little 6 million blast if you can get it to work at this level here right now. Giga Blast increases the eruption radius. This is huge. These are the ones you want on there. Just turns it into a huge AoE dealer. And Detonator, that's 100% mandatory as well. Decreases the overheat skill cooldown by 50%. It's just on a constant cycle, and it's just feeding everything else that we're doing. It's fantastic. Improved damage, mandatory. Increases the explosion damage by you know, a scalable amount. Pompeii, mandatory. It's your second eruption. Super Collider, we need to swap that out. I believe we need the magma coat on there. Arms of Anomaly. Unstoppable Force, Power Simulation, those are ones that we're kind of hunting for right now. Etna, that it does literally nothing. It's enter cover, creates a force field. It's literally useless to me right now. Etna, now that's your third eruption, huge, 100% mandatory. Debris, great mod, just a scalable amount of damage being tossed at them every time you're throwing up the eruption. And Ash, increased range. You know, that's probably the latter of them. It is a good one to have on there so that you're just freezing everybody, you know, for the whole map. So good to have on there. Again, not 100% mandatory unless you're, you know, you've got all your other mods on there that we just went over. And again, like Unstoppable Force, Power Simulation would probably be better than the increased range, but it is nice to have on there. No resistance gets fortified. I can't stress how, you know, important that mod is to the build. Increases your resistance piercing by 65% of your armor piercing value, and then once that is increased, your resistance piercing value is 50% additional eruption damage. So again, 50% of my resistance pierce, so I almost have it at 70%, so that's like almost 35%, so I'm like at 33%, or so, you know, something around that, or have 50% of that. So not nothing to scoff at, that's for sure. Just for applying that, again, having the armor pierce on and slapping on no resistance against the fortified, huge. Diffuse, absolutely useless. Again, could go over any of those mods I said. We're looking for magma coat to apply on for our last eruption mod, and then from there it's, you know, Arms of Anomaly. Unstoppable Force would be great, you know, because you know, your sprinting increases your armor and resistance by 50%. That's great, but it's not doing anything for us really. And Phoenix Force, not 100% mandatory. Swap it out for any of the mods I just went over there, but having it on is good because you earn an additional anomaly power bump per status consumed by the skill for 8 seconds, and it stacks up to 8 times, so it's not too shabby if you can just keep, you know, and you're spamming it too, so I'm sure it gets up there. That's all said and done, but again, not the optimal mod, but it's a good one. Eruption, this is where all of our damage is. Ash Blast, and then the Overheat is our skill spam, basically. And Ash Blast is just freezing everybody. Great. Went bottom tree. Again, it's all like anomaly power, increased damage against marked targets, skill damage, anomaly power, resistance piercing, resistance. I went into the Phoenix Nesting. I feel like this is mandatory, to be honest, with the Pyromancer. A little bit rough on the survivability. I seem to be doing really well now, but when you get into the bosses, if you can't wipe them and you're relying on your skills to stay alive, he's a little weak on the health. So it's nice to have that little backup. I mean, if you don't think you need it, you can always just dump it, you know, into a little bit of increased ash damage. you know, even a little bit of your armor piercing, get that up, right? Armor piercing equals resistance piercing equals explosion, so yeah, but and then we just scaled right up to the top tree again. We just wanted to get to this where you get a 45% anomaly power a bump by activating Ash Blast, so that's for 10 seconds, and again it's just, you know, inflicting, you know, burn, changes to Ash, so that's really good. So you're just constantly have those status effects, and then overheat is just consuming them and applying massive amounts of damage. Pax tree, went into the bottom Pyromaniac, Melting Point, again this is what you're seeing here, resistance piercing. Increases by 15% when above 80 and 30% when below 40% health, and as soon as your resistance piercing, like we're just talking about, the more resistance piercing you have, explosive skill damage is increased by 50% of your resistance piercing. Huge little node right there. Convection, fantastic mod. You know, this is why the detonation mixed with the overheat is so good, because it's helping reduce the skill cooldowns and everything else, plus the skill leech that we have in play. Backdraft, great node as well. Your anomaly power increased by 25% for every skill on cooldown, so just crazy. And then trigger sequence, activating an explosive skill, eruption, overheat, increases damage for the next explosive skill by 35%. The buff stacks up to 3 times, which is pretty nuts. Pretty crazy. So that's it there. And then your ascension tree, you know, you want to go anomaly damage, anomaly power. I went for cooldown reductions, and then we're going to go resistance pierce skill like leech, status power, armor piercing, and then we'll probably go into some of the damage against elites.